Hello, and welcome to the very first episode of Talk 80s to Me, the show where two people sit down and try and figure out why the 1980s was the best decade ever and why, as grown adults, we spend so much time crying about the fact that we can't go back to it. I am really excited about today's guest. I'm about to sit down and talk with the owner of the Totally 80s Room. And if you don't know what the Totally 80s Room is, here's a sneak peek.
Hello?
Hi, is Rick home?
No, he's not.
Do you know when he'll be home?
No, I do not.
Okay.
Now please help me in welcoming our very first guest ever on Talk 80s to Me, Pete from the Totally 80s Room. Pete, how the heck you doing?
Holy cow. I am a big fan of the 80s life. I also live my own 80s life here, Kurt. I'm a huge fan of yours.
You definitely do. And likewise, I am a big fan. I've been following your Instagram for quite a while. I love everything you put up there. So really exciting to talk to you today.
We're equally nerdy and nuts.
Yeah.
80s stuff.
I think so. I think I've
met my match.
Well, I definitely take that as a compliment. Thank you so much for taking some time to sit down and chat with me today.
Sure.
Really appreciate that. I want
absolutely
to obviously talk about the 80s. We're going to talk about why the 80s was such an amazing decade and why we are trying so hard to relive this decade.
Right.
So first of all, where I want to start is I know that depending on how old somebody is, where they grew up, stuff like that is going to kind of change what your experience was in the 80s.
Sure.
So for me, I'm 43, grew up in Los Angeles in the San Fernando Valley. When I think about my time in the 80s, the first things that come to mind are the cartoons, Inspector Gadget, Masters of the Universe, G.I. Joe, Muppet Babies. Then I think about Garbage Pail Kids, skateboarding. Yep. Those two definitely were such a huge part of my childhood, the Garbage Pail Kids and skateboarding. I think about being in the pool for hours with my friends and, in the apartment building we lived with the radio cranked up, listening to the best music ever. And then the hours and hours of the movies, the 80s movies that we watched. So those are the things that start coming back to me. So what about you? How old are you? Where'd you grow up?
Well, same here. We got a lot of stuff in common because I just turned 43.
Oh, happy birthday.
I grew up in the Midwest. Well, I stopped counting, Kurt. I'm not counting anymore.
Okay. Makes sense.
But I feel 53.
I know. I feel 63. So
I grew up in very similar to you. I grew up except I grew up in the Midwest. But yeah, man, when I think of, the memories, it's like it's a vibe for me. I try to explain to people like that. I love the pop culture. I love the memories, and same thing here. Summertime, friends. I grew up on a block or street, where we had, there was 7 or 8 boys around the same age. So, that's big trouble. You're asking for big trouble in your neighborhood. Same thing, the skateboards, kind of like BMX culture. That was huge with us, Nintendo, all these great things that happened in the 80s. We were right there, and we were real deal 80s kids. We got to live all that fun stuff. For me, like I said, it's kind of a vibe, so when I think back, it's a vibe to me.
So we probably were into the same cartoons, like all the ones I mentioned.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
The same
Yeah.
toys. Did you get into the Garbage Pail Kids?
Oh yeah, Garbage Pail Kids, huge for me. I still love them today. But
Yeah.
I remember riding home on the school bus and just flipping through my collection of Garbage Pail Kids. You know, those are fond memories for me, and trading them with friends. And what's better than gross out humor? I'm still into gross out humor. That never leaves.
And I'll say for me, I think the reason why like Garbage Pail Kids are probably one of the like the main things that I collect. It's like that's the thing for me. And I think the reason why is I was going through a box in the garage and I found a box full of Garbage Pail Kids.
Oh man.
And I was, yeah, I mean, mid-20s. I hadn't seen them for years. I opened it up and the smell, the look, and it just I think that was the first time I felt that nostalgia come over me. And
you found the time machine, man.
That was it.
Yeah. When I started collecting, all this stuff, that's kind of how it started. I got my hands on, a few items, and then it's rapidly snowballed.
I know.
From there,
And then going back to the childhood, skateboarding, was that
Sure.
You said that was a thing too for you?
Oh yeah, huge, man. Love the artwork. Now you guys, being you grew up in Southern California, so that's like ground zero skate culture. We got our boards from man, they sold them at a lot of retailers, even like grocery stores and stuff like that.
Really?
And so they're not like the name brand boards,
Right.
They're,
yeah, the ones that were really big, I know, at least out here, that the ones that you were talking about, like for us, you would go to like Toys R Us or Target to get them.
Yep.
It was like
Yep.
The brands were Veriflex and Nash.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, those were the ones.
Valterra,
Yeah.
Veriflex, Nash. Yep, those
Right.
are the boards I had.
Those were the first couple that I had. I remember my parents took me. We moved into this apartment building. All the boys there were had skateboards, and so my parents, they took me and bought me a skateboard, and they didn't know any better. They took me to Target, or sorry, to Toys R Us, and
Yeah.
I didn't know any better. They said pick one out. So I saw
Right.
one that was green and it glowed in the dark, and it had monsters on it, and it was shaped like a fingernail, like it was awful.
Right.
And I said,
Right.
I want that one. And I remember we brought it home, and my parents said to the other boys in the apartment building, did we get them a good one? And they said, well, no, not really. And it took 1 week. My brother tried to ollie on that skateboard. It had plastic trucks. So when he did, they just broke. Yeah, it was done. I know also you're really into hair metal, right?
Oh yeah.
And you play guitar. You are an amazing guitar player.
Sure. Well, I don't know about that. Let me show you I got my guitar area over here.
Okay.
We have the gifts. So here's some of my, here's my kind of jam area, if you will.
All right. Yes, I've seen that area in your videos.
Yeah.
And you are being modest. You are quite the guitar player. So,
well, I practice, but I do have the luxury in this day and age of, editing, and, so if you see a video, I can pick the best. We can go with the best take, and then that's the one I'll put up. But I appreciate that. Yeah, it takes a lot of practice.
I can do that too, and I tell you, my best take will not be anywhere near your worst take. So I don't think that's
What's your what kind of stuff do you play?
Well, okay, so that's why I'm not an amazing guitar player. I think I started playing when I was about 13. So, oh my God, that's 30 years, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's okay. That's really upsetting.
You should be really good.
I should be, right. So
you should be really good.
At the time I was just into punk music. So
yeah,
I learned how to play a power chord, and I found that, okay, all I have to do is do this, and I can move up and down and play any song I want.
Yeah.
So I found no need to go any further than that. I could,
Right.
so that's where I stopped. But so now as I've
Sure.
gotten older, uh, I find myself wanting to play other stuff, like a lot of the 80s music that I like, that I like. I want to maybe try and play some songs by The Cure or
Sure.
New Order or,
Sure.
whatever. They're a little bit more difficult. I can't just play power chords. So
Well, let me give you some advice. If you get the look, you know what I mean?
yeah.
So, maybe get you a wig, maybe, eyeliner.
If I'm if I'm playing The
Get
Cure.
really depressed, you know what I mean? That helps too. That's a whole thing,
Okay.
Put that together, plus the bar chords. There you go. You're in business.
Okay. So if I do the look, I'm gonna play better.
The rest will,
See, I didn't. Okay, here I am at home wearing a neon pink shirt, trying to play the Cure. It's not working. Okay.
Right. Oh, dude, check this out. Speaking of shirt, check this out.
Oh yes, the Gecko Hypercolor. Yes.
Yeah. I had to get a get a Hypercolor shirt.
Yeah.
Not a vintage one. I do have a vintage one, but they don't work really.
Oh, did they stop working? Okay.
They do stop working after you wash a few times.
So okay, so back to the hair metal. Did you were you into the hair metal back then, or was this something that you kind of, as you got older, you're always a hair metal guy?
Oh, big time. When growing up, those guys were my heroes. So, Eddie Van Halen, these larger than life rock stars, Motley Crue, Poison, Def Leppard, like I said, Van Halen, those guys were it for me. Actually in grade school, in fourth grade, I think we had to do a report on someone that was a hero of ours, could be anybody. And I wrote my report on Nikki Sixx, Motley Crue, and not knowing that probably in that era, which that was probably 1988 maybe, or somewhere in there, and he was probably well into his personal trouble that he was having.
You had no idea that he was the furthest thing from being a role model for a child.
Right, exactly. Yeah. But
was it Nikki
Sixx?
Like
I said, larger than life guys.
Yeah. Was it Nikki Sixx that they wrote "Kickstart My Heart" about the adrenaline to the?
Yeah,
I think it was.
Yes, I think that's it. That's it.
Now here's something I want to ask you about. I have this theory. I don't know if I'm right, so I want to get your opinion.
Sure.
Without getting political, I think it's safe to say that the world is not in amazing shape these days. Like things aren't great. I know we feel like things were better in the 80s.
Sure.
So I have this opinion. I'm not saying that this is the whole that this is the whole solution or cause, but I think it's part of it, at least a small part of it. When we were kids, everything we watched had a PSA, a public service announcement, whether it was G.I. Joe or Punky Brewster or just in between the cartoons, One to Grow On and all those things. They taught us to not do drugs, not talk to strangers, to be nice to the people around you, to be courteous.
Sure.
Kids don't have that now. And I feel like that is at least a small part of what's wrong today. What do you think?
Well, yeah, I think you're right. I agree. I agree with you because they, in the television shows, and it seemed like there was a message purposefully, in these shows. So what comes to mind is first person that comes to mind is Mr. T, because as an example, because he was a super popular, he was larger than life. In a lot of ways. And he, I think, was fully aware of his responsibility in being a role model. And, I think he took it seriously. I mean, if in that era, there was nobody bigger than Mr. T. He was on everything. They used his, they put him on everything they could, Lunchbox, cereal, anything promotional. They slapped his face on there. But I think he really took it seriously as a role model, and tried to deliver a message for kids. And I think comparably so, whether it be sports figures or actors. And I could be wrong, but I don't see a lot of that, anymore, where it's purposefully, hey, there is a message here and there's something to learn. And yeah, so you're right. We had a ton of that stuff. We had even if it was like, the A-Team or whatever, they're shooting and blowing each other up. And then by the end of the episode, we're going to shake hands. You're going to learn a lesson. All right.
Yep.
And it did. And I think it stuck with us 80s kids, at least, speaking for myself.
And we had people like LeVar Burton reading Rainbow, telling kids to read, people like Mr. Rogers telling you to be kind. And
I think, I've thought about this before. I think a lot of it has to do with access, like today, it's so much different. We have access to everything instantly. As back then, if you wanted to see your favorite show or a movie, or you wanted to get to the record store when your favorite band was releasing their album, you wanted to get there that day and get it. You had to plan, and you had to be there. And that's what kind of made it special too,
Absolutely.
in a way, because not everything was just not accessible. If you missed a show, that was it.
That was it. Yeah.
And catch a rerun in the summer, if the movie or whatever, you want to be there on opening night or whatever.
What's funny about that is if you were to explain that to a kid today, and you were to say, well, when I was your age, if we wanted to watch a TV show, we had to be there at that time to watch it. If we wanted to watch a movie, we couldn't, just pull it up on our phone. They'd probably say, well, that sounds awful. That sounds terrible that you can't just have it, right at the tip of your fingers. But like you said, that's what made it so great.
Yeah.
Going to the video store, that was a whole experience. Walking up and down the aisles, looking for that movie, and then standing by the counter, waiting to see if someone returned it. Is that it? Is that it? Going to the record store and getting the record and opening it, and, the whole thing. And it's so funny.
Even
like
meeting up with your pals. You know what I mean? You got to call, hey Kurt, are you home? Yeah, I'm home. All right, man, I'm coming over. That was it. If something happened in between there, we're going to miss each other,
Yep.
It just kind of made it more special to be involved. You had, for me anyway, speaking for myself, but I think we're right. I think we're on this.
You wanted to call a business and see what their hours were, you had to get out this big book and turn through it and, find the phone number.
Yeah. The movie times and the stuff in the newspaper. You had, it was more, I guess maybe it was special because it was, you were more involved. Everything wasn't so easy, and I think that made it more fun. I think. Yeah,
it didn't like I was saying, someone today might say, well, that sounds awful, but it didn't seem like a chore to us. No, it was not a chore to look up a phone number in a phone book or search for a movie. It was an experience. Well, we talked about what a big hair metal guy you are. Did you, as a kid and now, were you into other stuff besides hair metal, or were you kind of just really focused on the hair metal?
Yeah. I mean, I was definitely aware of pop, pop music, and I like it much more now and appreciate it much more now than I did then. But, as a kid, I just I wanted to rock.
Hip hop was really big. That was like rap was coming in the 80s. Did you get into that at all?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, that stuff was definitely on my radar. But being like a kid, and you want to be, somewhat rebellious, and but just rock and roll, man. It went together with, like I said, those guys were my heroes.
Yeah.
David Lee Roth, and they were larger than life. And I got a guitar, I think, my parents gave me a guitar for Christmas when I was 7, 7, I think. And so from then I was hooked.
I got to ask, what about Prince?
Yes, for sure. Again, much more now, I guess.
Yeah.
Than back then. But Prince isn't, there's nobody better. That guy will never be replaced. And not only that, speaking of like guitars and rock star, that guy was a excellent, not only musician, but guitar player through and through, performer. Everything, songwriter. That guy was a real deal musician and just top notch.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you ever get to see him live?
I never did. No. And I've seen a lot of shows, but no.
Man, what an experience it is to see Prince live. Yeah.
Did you saw him? What era?
In between, I can't figure out how many times, but it's between 50 and 60 times that I saw Prince.
What?
Yeah, I am a major Prince fan, like major. Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately, I never got to see him in the 80s. I wish I did. Yeah, it wasn't until I was a bit older. But still, his showmanship was it never.
Whoa. I thought you were like, I thought you were gonna be like, 5, 6 times. That's a lot too, to go see one band or one performer.
Yeah,
50 times.
I've tried counting. Yeah, I've tried counting, and I know I'm missing some shows, but I've gotten over 50. I know for sure it's over 50. Yeah, I've got a couple of friends that are in the hundreds that they saw Prince, and those friends like have seen him in like Greece and Israel, like Japan, like they flew around the country. Okay, so let's talk about your room. I want to talk about the Totally 80s room. So for the people that are watching who might not know, first of all, what is the Totally 80s room?
Well, the Totally 80s room is my 1980s themed man cave, if you will, hangout. It's in my house. It's a collection of 1980s pop culture. And actually, I have some things, I tell people this, it's 1980s era. So the things I collect is 1978 to right around 92, 93, because, that's 80s era to me. So you have the beginning of an era and then the end of an era as far as, pop culture and style and, the clothing and the types of, movies and the slang and the, the denim. So you get me. But in my collection in the museum, I guess it is pop culture. So it's everything from household items, toys, games, stuff we remember as kids, and even screen used movie props and screen worn stuff from popular shows and people. It's not meant to be. Some people think, well, it's Totally 80s room. It's it's not meant to be like an authentic. It's the Totally 80s room, meaning it is a room, but it's my collection. It's not meant to be some sort of. I could have saved myself a lot of trouble, Kurt, if I just would have bought an old brown couch, like a crappy television or something. Right. That's not, what this is kind of an over the top, 80s theme, and the collection is why it's the Totally 80s room.
Yeah, no, I get it. And you've got the Instagram, which I've been, like I said, I've been following for a long time. Yeah. You've got YouTube, which I think you're going to start doing more YouTube.
I never really, you're the YouTube pro. I'm not, that stuff. It's like a whole different thing for me, but I mostly do social media stuff. But yeah, we're going to liven it back up on YouTube. I got to join you guys. I got to join the fun.
Yeah, please do. And I will I'll put links in the description for this video for your Instagram and your YouTube and whatever else. And like on your Instagram, just so people know, you make
Sure.
a lot of videos showing the collection in the room, but
Yeah.
you don't just do that. You also make like short videos talking
Sure.
about, do you remember this product? Do you remember
Yeah.
this show?
Remember when Taco Bell was good? Back in the day, you could eat Taco Bell sober. Just look. Is that the enchilito? Yo, is that a plate?
You also make short, goofy videos. One of my favorites was you made a video of Jake Ryan coming to your house to pick you up.
Yeah. He came
Yeah.
over. I didn't
Yeah.
get in the car.
No,
You know,
you're smart.
stranger
You're
danger.
smart.
You
See,
know, I
PSA.
should have
That's
went for a
why.
ride.
Because that's you knew not to get in Jake Ryan's car because
That's
of
right.
the PSAs.
That's what I learned. It is a 944, and I am a car guy, so I probably should have. Went. But yeah, I mean, on social media and man, it has allowed me. I've met the coolest people all over the world, and it gives me a chance to share this collection. Not everybody can come over and check it out in person, but I can get these memories out to people. It's a community. It's huge.
Yeah,
Nostalgia is huge. I'm digging it. Yeah.
So I'm going to have you kind of walk around and show us some of the stuff in your room. But before we do that, I want to talk to you about two items that I know that you have in that room. One of them is actually right behind you. It is a sweater that was worn by Casey Kasem on Saved by the Bell in the Sprain episode. Saved by the Bell, one of my favorite shows.
Yep.
Great episode.
Yep.
Absolutely
that's
amazing.
my favorite episode. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Amazing that you have that sweater. How did you get your hands on that?
So let me see if I can turn some lights on here, Kurt. Let me see if that'll do it. I have a clapper, but it's not a clicker, it's a clapper, but
it's the clapper, not the snapper.
Well, anyways, that is the sweater.
Amazing.
From that episode. That's Casey Kasem's. I got this. I'm an auction hawk. I follow a lot of Hollywood auctions, and I'm kind of in touch after so long of doing this. You get invited to participate in auctions and stuff. If they know you're a real dummy like me and you want to spend money on this stuff, they want to get you involved. But no, that's my favorite episode. And of course, delayed.
Oh man,
delayed snapper.
That's
clapper.
funny.
The neon light comes on, but yeah, that's actually my favorite episode. The Sprain dance, and there, right here is.
Oh, there you got the picture there. Amazing.
Yeah, Lisa Turtle.
That is amazing. Now another thing that that I know you have in that room. It's one of my favorite movies. You have Stars earrings from the Lost Boys.
Yeah, I sure do. It's Jamie Gertz. That's right over here. These are the screen worn earrings.
Wow, that is so cool. Now, did you pick those up the same thing at an auction?
No, those were actually a little different. Those were actually a gift to me from a friend.
Great gift.
And I'll tell you a little bit of the story. I built a car for a good buddy of mine.
Wow.
And it wasn't a super nice car. Okay. But it was a replica of the car he had in high school. Clunker, but I made that car, and a bunch of us guys took it to our 20-year reunion, and he was kind enough to gift me those earrings. He's a collector too, so
that is such a cool story.
That's an even swap for me.
Yeah. What kind of car was it?
It was a late 80s. He had a late 80s. It was a Caprice classic, the boxy ones,
Yeah.
But it was a decommissioned police car.
Right.
So it had the light on the side, and man, I spent probably a year building this car.
Wow.
I mean, it was the car. It wasn't the actual car, but it was the car.
It was
Trust me.
close. Well, I
It was
think
very close.
well,
Yeah.
I think those earrings, I think that was worth the time that
Yeah.
you spent. That
To
is
me,
amazing.
it was. Yeah.
Yeah. Show me two things. First of all, and well, it might be the same thing. I want to see what your favorite item in your entire collection is, and also what you think your best item in the collection is. Again, it might be the same item,
That's
but
rough. Well, let's see here. I'll give you a couple real
Okay.
quick.
Okay.
So I'll start. So right here, if you can see that. Can you see that okay, Kurt?
Yeah.
This shirt here, see how tiny this is? I couldn't even get it to button on the mannequin. And that's a super tiny mannequin. That was Heather Locklear's. This is her screen worn. Yeah.
TJ Hooker.
TJ Hooker. Yep.
Nice.
Yep. Let me give you another one here. This is a piece of Freddy Krueger's face. If you can see that.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, that's from the original Nightmare.
Oh, wow.
I got that from a horror collector. He's got an awesome collection. Makes mine look kind of silly, but now here's an awesome one. Okay. This may or may not be my best piece, but it's one of them for sure.
Okay.
So do you remember a movie called Spaceballs?
Of course.
Right. So we're going to come on up here.
Ah.
Do you recognize the character?
Yes.
Mega Maid.
Wow.
That's really Mega Maid. That's her.
So hard for you to choose your absolute favorite, but those right there definitely fall into the top.
Oh yeah. Yeah, okay. They're on the list for sure. But we've got a lot more stuff in here, man.
Yeah, so now I'm going to let you for the rest of our time, I'm just going to let you kind of show us some of your favorite pieces. Show us what you can show us.
So over here in kind of my jam area where I plug in and play guitar. Got some memorabilia here. Got Joan Jett's pants. Don't you just want Joan Jett's pants? And she signed them. I have a t-shirt worn by Slash. And he only wears t-shirts, once or twice, but there are some stains on it. And my mind is Jack Daniels. It's just gotta be.
Makes sense.
Yep. You got Debbie Gibson's hat.
No, is that the actual hat from the picture? The famous hat? Oh my gosh.
Sure is. Yep. And she wore a lot of hats, just like Michael Jackson too. But she did sign that.
Wow.
Let me take you into the other room here. And like I said, a lot of this stuff is all pop culture related. So it's things I love the most are like household items, common items, not just the movie stuff, but stuff that everybody knows and everybody remembers. Here's a few items up here.
Oh, the Coke can, the LA Gears. Yep. Girl Talk, Mr. T cereal.
A lot of people ask me, well, man, if you could, if there's a fire and you can grab something, if you can grab just a few things, what do you grab? This may be one of them. This is a Devo jacket.
No.
It's the real deal. That is one of their signature jackets.
Wow. And do you know, was that like a tour, tour jumpsuit, music video?
Yep. That was early on in their career. And I got that from a doctor, and he went to a show, and I think he said it was right at 1980. He went to a show and stage worn. He said one of the guys took it off during the performance, and he was right up front, and he 5-finger discounted it off the stage.
Oh wow.
And so now it exists in the totally 80s room. He was happy to sell it to me, to make sure it had a good place for it,
That's a good one.
Oh, how about this, Kurt? Speaking of hats, that's a famous hat right there.
Is that Michael Jackson's hat?
That's Michael Jackson's hat. That's
no way.
Yeah, way. That's one of his hats. Again, Michael, you got to think of these stars. People think, geez, now they had they had hats for every performance. And
sure.
So that's one of them. So that's a real fedora. It's These were specially made for him from a few designers. And we've got a lot of things, signatures. I'm a autographed hound. You got Tom Selleck right here. Here's a cool one. So I'm a big Motley Crue fan. That is Nikki Sixx bass guitar right there.
Oh my God. Now imagine that you wrote a paper about Nikki Sixx, about him being your hero, and now you own his bass guitar.
Now I got his bass guitar. Yeah, so lots of cool stuff. How about Madonna's checkbook?
Oh,
see that?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I can.
That's the Material Girls checkbook right there. And she's even got some handwritten notes there.
That is too cool.
Yeah.
Man.
And this is just, again, this is like our hangout room. Friends come over, we've got the console TV. Everything's on display. Household items, common items.
You got a payphone over there.
Yep. We got a payphone. And kind of a funny story. I tried to get this payphone installed, like landline and stuff, which can be done, but I really wanted this phone number. I really wanted that phone number. They could not do that for me. So I said, no, forget it. If I can't have Jenny's number, then I'm not doing it. And again, some of my most favorite things are just kind of common household things. Here's something that everybody recognizes.
Oh, yep. Definitely recognize that picture.
It's your old pal right here. How many, ice cold Kool-Aids have you had out of that thing?
Definitely.
And again, just, electronics, cameras, and, you remember these things. You used to see these in McDonald's.
Yep. That's just like what we were talking about. Couldn't go anywhere without someone smoking, even at McDonald's.
Yep. And of course, a lot of this stuff is related to, me growing up, so it's the stuff I remember, seeing. This is kind of our game area here.
Oh, Pac-Man, pinball. I can't see what pinball machine is that?
Well, it's a Monte Carlo pinball.
Okay.
I think it's 1986. But the reason I wanted this game here is because that was my dad's, and that was in our basement growing up. So
that's amazing.
I restored it and lugged it up the stairs here, and which was something, because those things are super heavy.
That's great. Yeah, most of the stuff that I have in my collection is very small compared to yours, but most of what I have is the stuff that I had as a kid. Not the same stuff, but me repurchasing that stuff because it really hits home, Yeah.
Sure.
The other stuff is cool, the stuff that I remember seeing, but the stuff that really does it for me is that stuff that I had that, it just brings back those memories.
Man, it's like a time machine.
Yeah.
Here's a common household item. It's just plastic wrap. Why not? I'm collecting the 80s. Here's a dust buster.
Awesome.
It's never been open.
That's so great. Yeah, why not have it? Because like you said, it's a time machine. It brings you back. It gives you that feeling, that nostalgic feeling.
Yeah, I really love this. I feel like I'm kind of I feel like I'm holding on to a time capsule here. I'm keeping this stuff in the best shape I can, and just help. It's a memory. People, I get it all the time. It's like, man, I forgot all about that. And when they see it, it just gets you. It brings you right back.
It does. And I want to say thank you to you for preserving these historical items. Thank you for doing that for all of us. So
that's the way I see it.
We're running out of time here. I want to say thank you so much for, again, for taking the time to sit down and chat with me for a while and for sharing your items with all of us.
Absolutely.
I think we might have to do another one in the future because I feel like we have a lot to talk about.
I got more stuff, and I'm gonna come see you.
Awesome.
In
I can't
LA.
wait. I can't
Yeah.
wait. And I might have to come visit your room as well.
Dude, I got a bed for you. Scott stays up the bed. Scott on tape.
I know. I know.
I'll change the sheets.
I was going to say, can you please change the sheets after Scott stayed there?
I can't.
Okay.
I can't.
All right, Pete. I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much once again.
Yeah,
and
man.
we'll do this again in the future.
Yeah, man. My pleasure.
All right. Take care, Pete.
Live. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Don't go up against me on eBay.
Oh,
Let me have it.
just let me have something. Let me have something. All right. Take care, Pete.
All right, man.